This is going to be episode 129 for you guys today. Once my co-host Rob Sarasulo joins in, we'll go ahead and get today's episode started. Talk about them Georgia Bulldogs when college playoffs begin and whatnot, but they are looking very impressive thus far. Could potentially go on a three-peat as well.
Here we go.
What's up, Rob?
What's good? What's good, Cedric? Hope you're doing good, my man. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
All right, Rob. Since it's me and you tonight, we'll go ahead and get things started.
Kurt just joined. Where he at?
Curtis. Anyway, hey guys, Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree from Onthehop podcast. Today, this will be episode 129 for you guys today. I'm joined by my co-host, Rob Sarasulo. We're going to go ahead and get today's episode started, episode 129 for you guys today. So starting off with sharing our AFC contenders or pretenders list. So we're going to be, in this segment, we're going to be discussing all teams that are currently above 500 or currently at 500 in the AFC. The AFC is like the varsity of the NFL, stacked from top to bottom with a lot of teams above 500 at 500. So we're going to talk about all those teams that are at that level right now in the NFL season. All right, Rob, starting with team number one, the Chiefs. Are they contenders or pretenders?
They're not pretenders, contenders. Yeah, I would say they're definitely contenders. You know, you can't call them pretenders when they got number 15 at quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, as long as he's on the team, they're going to be fighting for a championship year in and year out. It doesn't matter who they got. He elevates that team, and plus their defense is very good this year. I want to say they're at least top 10. I know that. Off the top of my head, I know they're at least top 10, if not top 5. They've been playing a lot better ball this year, where in recent years they haven't been nearly as good, but their offense has been better. It's been more of a defensive team this year since they don't have nearly as many weapons on the offensive side of the football. You know, Pat Mahomes is kind of spreading the ball around to a bunch of number 2s and 3s, minus Travis Kelce, of course, his savior. But, you know, as long as he's at quarterback, you can never call them a pretender no matter what. I mean, I don't care who's on the team. As long as Pat Mahomes is QB1 and as long as he's healthy, they're going to be contenders. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree with you. At 7-2, I think they are contenders. It's just weird this year because they're not the most feared team in the AFC right now. Any other time or any other year, you would think, oh, the Kansas City Chiefs are getting hot. At times they have started off slow and then gotten hot at the end, and teams would be fearful. But the Chiefs this year being at 7-2, I don't see them as the most feared team in the AFC. And like you said, their defense is a top 10 unit. It is strange to think that the Chiefs' defense is actually better than the Chiefs' offense this year. The Chiefs' defense is only allowing 15 points per game, and we're heading into week 11 of the NFL season. That's really impressive. But I agree with you, though. A lot of question marks at the wide receiver position with these younger, talented players failing to create separation throughout the season. But they do still have Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid. So I do believe as long as the three guys are part of the organization, they're always going to be contenders.
I agree, for sure.
All right, next team, the Baltimore Ravens at 7-3. Are they contenders or pretenders?
You said the Ravens?
Yeah.
Oh, they're contenders. They're contenders. I think they're they had a tough loss, I want to say, this past Sunday. I mean, it's a divisional game. Anything can happen, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It was a hard-fought game, and Deshaun Watson kind of showed glimpses of who he used to be back on the Houston Texans. He had a perfect second half, fell behind big time in the first half. I'm surprised they came back. Um, that's something that concerns me though about the Ravens, and it's kind of been a theme for the past 2 years, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they've squandered a couple of big leads. It hasn't been as bad this year as opposed to last year, against the Dolphins and
mm,
there I can't remember who else they did against us last year.
Jaguar.
Um,
There's a lot of teams.
yeah, and then this year happened to, they've led for. It was a crazy stat. Someone at my job told me the other day that they've led for every moment of a game except for 2 minutes total this whole season,
That's a
and they have three.
that's
They have
crazy.
three losses. Three.
Yeah,
They have more losses than the amount of minutes that they've been down. That's crazy.
that is.
Like, I don't understand. Like, you know, losing to the Steelers, I mean, that was not, I'll admit, that was not Lamar's fault at all. I mean, his receivers
Yeah.
were dropping passes left and right. I mean, that's just disappointing if you're a Ravens fan. I don't know how the Steelers keep getting away with this. But, against the Colts, like, that was kind of inexcusable. Like, you got to win that game against Gardner Minshew. You got to win that game. I don't care who you are. You got to win that game.
Hmm.
They are not a good team, in my opinion. But, um, but yeah, I mean, the Browns are a tough team, right? I mean, they're right up there. I think they're going to be, well, scratch that because now they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
But before, they were going to be fighting in the thick of things in the playoffs. With that top defense that they have, they got weapons at the receiver position. They got a pretty good tight end in Njoku. Um, even Jerome Ford is pretty damn good running back.
Hmm.
Great offensive line. Just a great team. And quarterback's been the only inconsistency, and I feel like we've been talking about that our whole lives with the Browns. Um, but I mean, it just sucks to see Deshaun Watson out for the season. Got a feel for Cleveland fans on that. He hasn't been healthy the entire year. But nah, the Ravens are definitely contenders. They got a complete.
What the
Come
heck?
on, you can't be saying that. It's 2023. But yeah, nah, they got a complete squad. Great defense, great offense, great offensive line. Keaton Mitchell, the rookie running back, he's really heating up. Gus Edwards, of course. You got Zay Flowers out there. Uh, I mean, they have Odell. I mean, I don't know what. I guess he scored a touchdown on his birthday, but besides that, like, what? I don't see his contract being justified just yet. I'll be honest. Um, but and of course, you got Mark Andrews, top two tight end in the league, minus Travis Kelce. But yeah, nah, they're definitely contenders. They have a shot at getting the number one seed here in the AFC, I think.
Yeah, I like the Ravens. I'm still pretty high on them. I really thought they should have won that game on Sunday. It's just really the mistakes really hold this team back from what they really can be. Because if you look at their 10 games this year and you look at how every game went, and like you said, they've only lost, they haven't had the lead for a matter of 2 minutes in all of these games that they played so far. So if they fix their mistakes, we could potentially talk about the Ravens being 10-0 right now. And you look at their fourth quarter collapse and their first loss to the Indianapolis Colts and Gardner Minshew, that shouldn't have happened at home. Then the drop passes on the road for the Pittsburgh Steelers, wide receivers not catching the ball when Lamar Jackson put it right in their breadbasket, right in their palm of their hands, and they lose that game on the road. Then you blow a 31-17 lead at home to the Cleveland Browns when you're up comfortably at home If they would have fixed those three mistakes, I think the Ravens would be sitting pretty at 10-0 right now as the only undefeated team in the AFC. But I agree with you. I think there is a shot that they still can lock up the number one seed in the AFC. I'm pretty high on them right now still, but they got to fix their mistakes in the fourth quarter collapses because last year it can't translate to this year because it's going to cost them big time with their roster that they have. But I would say they're contenders still. But so on the Browns, you talked about everything about the Browns. They're 6-3. Do you think with the injury of Deshaun Watson now they're contenders or pretenders?
I mean, they've won. I mean, they've kind of been up and down with PJ Walker at quarterback when Deshaun Watson was out. They had that one game with the rookie Dorian Finney-Smith, I believe his name is, um, against the Ravens, and you saw how that went. They got manhandled that game. So I mean, they said they're starting Dorian next game against the Steelers. So I don't know, man. I mean, not that the Steelers are a great team, even though they're 6-3 somehow. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say right now. I would need to see more of a sample size, especially with the rookie quarterback. For right now, I'm gonna say, I mean, their defense alone could carry them to the playoffs at least. I
Yeah.
mean, they have a good enough record, unless they completely collapse. Like as long as they go, as long as they win 10 games, I mean, I think they could make it. I mean, you have to win 10 games in the AFC. I mean,
Yeah.
um, 9-8's not going to cut it. You're not going to make it at 9-8,
Mm-mm.
um, especially in that division. I mean, if the Steelers keep pulling miracles out their butts, and you know, as long as the Ravens keep it up, and the Bengals are still hanging around. We'll get to them once we get to our sports betting. Actually, um, I don't know. That's tough. That's a tough one. I'm kind of in the middle. I can't really say.
It's I agree with you. It is tough. I'm gonna go ahead and say they're pretenders. It's tough because for Browns fans, they've been suffering for so long, and this is actually the best roster I think in our lifetimes that they've had to actually compete with the top dogs in the AFC.
Yeah.
But that Deshaun Watson injury, that just sucks because they're 6-3. They're at the top of that division or second place in that division, behind the Ravens. But it sucks. At least Deshaun Watson, I say, went out with a bang and showed he can still win big games because that was a big question mark since he's came back to the NFL. But I'm not sure if they can go on a run with PJ Walker or the rookie Dorian. I don't know if they're going to be able to. I think they can. They're like you said, their defense can carry them to the playoffs. But if you don't have a quarterback that is at least a caliber player that can win games for you in the big time moments, you're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs. So I gotta say they're pretenders, but I won't be surprised if they get into the playoffs though.
Mm-mm.
All right, Jacksonville Jaguars. They're 6-3. Contenders or pretenders?
Uh, I'm saying I'm gonna say they're pretenders. I'm gonna say it because for one, Trevor Lawrence has not been what I thought he would be. He was a dark horse MVP candidate for me in the beginning of the year. Um, he has not looked like that by any means. He's not even in the conversation. Um, that offense is, you know, they're good offense. Don't get me wrong. They got weapons, obviously, which is what was backing my pick for that dark horse pick. But you know, Travis Etienne, he's been very good this year. He's an elite running back. Um, Evan Ingram's been very good for them. Calvin Ridley's he's kind of inconsistent, right? Like I don't think he's been as great as I thought he
No.
would be. Christian Kirk's pretty solid, but their defense is trash, dude.
Yeah.
Like their defense is not good. Like that's a big reason why I think they're pretenders. And I don't know if you're going to talk about them or not on this list, but they got Houston in their division, and I think they're a better
Mm-hmm.
team than the Jags, no doubt. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I think they're going to win. I think the Texans will win the division, and when it's all said and done, I think they're going to take over, in my opinion. Just based on the way that C.J. Stroud's been playing, and the talent. I mean, they have a lot of talent. I mean, the last couple of years they've been getting high picks, and they're panning out, right? And even their middle round picks are panning out. So I don't know. I mean, it's tough, but I think they're pretenders. I don't think if they do make the playoffs, they're a first round exit, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I think they're. I think they're going to get exposed here over the next few weeks. I mean, I feel like they've had a cupcake schedule so far.
Yeah, I agree. I don't feel so good about Trevor Lawrence in year three. I mean, he's a good quarterback, but I would even call him a top 10 quarterback after overcoming such a big deficit in the playoff, 27-3 comeback in the wild card. But I just don't see that guy that is claimed to be a top 10 guy. So I agree. I do believe they're pretenders as well. They really only have one solid win on the season. That's against the Buffalo Bills in London.
Hmm.
And the Jaguars always win in London. So, and they got slaughtered against the 49ers at home. It wasn't like they were in San Francisco. They got slaughtered. It was a whooping on that field in Jacksonville, Florida on Sunday at the hands of the 49ers. And then, like you said, they got weapons on offense, but their defense is bad. But Zay Jones, their wide receiver, got arrested on Monday for domestic violence. I,
Oh shit.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything really recent or any updates about this, but he got arrested Monday night. So if Zay Jones gets removed for the rest of the NFL season or he's released or whatever happens, that offense is definitely going to take a huge hit for the remainder of the season. But yeah, I agree. I think they're pretenders, and I think if they get in there, first round exit because there's a lot of top teams in the AFC that what can easily compete with them head to head.
I mean,
Oh, I like this one.
like you said, you know, it was belt to ass against San
Yeah.
Fran. Um, you know, that's the type of teams you're going to see in the playoffs. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's not looking good for them. I don't think they're going to. They're either not going to make it or they're getting whooped in the first round. But I mean, we kind of said that about them last year too. Like when they faced the Chargers, especially at the end of the first half, we're like, oh, this team they're just not ready. But they just shocked the world. I mean, who
Yeah,
knows? The playoffs are a crazy place for teams, So we'll see. But in my opinion, I don't know. I just don't buy it at all.
yeah. Dolphins 6-3, contenders or pretenders?
I mean, I'm kind of in the middle, but I'll lean a little bit towards contenders for right now. I mean, that offense is just way too explosive to fizzle out. I mean, we have seen them lose. All of their losses have been against good teams, and all of their wins have been against not so great teams. But they for any team to score 70 on an opponent, don't matter who it is. I don't care if it's you know the Chiefs against the Giants, or it doesn't matter. I mean, to score 70 points in one game is insane. I mean, to have that kind of potential. I mean, they got A-Chain coming back. Their dynamic rookie running back that literally blew the doors off when he first came in. That alone is going to elevate that offense to their highest level once again. I mean, they're just a track team out there. I mean, their defense is kind of shaky. I mean, it's decent. Jalen Ramsey's still getting integrated into things, coming back from injury. But I mean, I'm going to say they're contenders just based on the fact of how good their offense is. I mean, it's top three offense. Um, Tua's been playing MVP caliber football. I mean, sheesh, that's a not a team you want to see in the playoffs at all. I mean, that's not an offense you want to face because they can just blow up at any moment. Like that's a team that can move the ball fast, score fast, and that's a recipe for success in the playoffs. I mean, I know defense wins championships, but when you got an offense like that, I mean, that kind of, you know, changed the narrative a little bit. So I'm going
Yeah,
to lean towards contenders. I do need to see more from them coming up here. They got the next couple of games are going to be tough for them, I'm pretty sure. Um, from what I remember, they play some real good teams coming up here. But we'll see.
yeah. I still don't have a good feeling about this Dolphins team. I still think they're pretenders. The Dolphins are 6-0 against teams with losing records, but then, like you said, when they play the top teams, they're 0-3 against those teams with winning records. That concerns me at this point in the season. I said weeks ago I had to call them pretenders until further notice, and I still feel the same way. And their last performance against the Chiefs in Germany a few weeks ago, it's like the entire year they beat team. When it comes to beating teams with a winning record, it's been an entire year actually, but since they beat a team with a winning record. And when they played the top teams that are above 500, they only average 17 points per game. That really concerns me. And you're gonna only average 17 points per game playing against top-notch teams like the Ravens or the Bengals or the Chiefs. You're only doing that in the playoffs. That's not going to get you anywhere. They do have an explosive offense, I will say. Tua Tagovailoa, he is putting up MVP caliber numbers, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But if you can't do that against elite teams, that I just can't trust them, and I still believe that they're pretenders until further notice. At least until they get that signature win under their belt, and they just don't have one right now. Beating teams like the Giants, the Broncos, the Panthers, the Patriots, there's no like marquee win just yet. And then when they got the chance, you're only averaging 17 points per game against, well, when the Bills were above 500, the Eagles and the Chiefs. I don't think that's good enough. So right now, I still stick with their pretenders. Steelers at 6-3. I know you just talked about them a little bit. Do you think they're contenders or pretenders?
They're pretenders, hands down. I mean, that's an easy answer. Like, they're just not a good team. I mean, their defense is pretty good. They just win ugly football games. Like every game you watch as a Steelers fan has to give you like migraines. Like I don't know how you can watch games as a Steelers fan because that shit is ugly. Like Kenny Pickett is not good. That offense is not good. Matt Canada is garbage. They just you got to score points in the NFL, and like they've been getting away with it somehow. I don't know what they're doing or if it's the Mike Tomlin magic of remaining at least relevant somehow. Um, but I don't know, man. That has got to be easily one of the worst 6-3 teams I've ever seen. Um, you know, they've been outgained in every game this year.
Mm-hmm.
Every game, and they're 6-3. Like what? How does that even happen? Like I don't understand. Like that team is not good. I don't care. They're just no. They're pretenders. Simple as that. We're gonna see over the next few weeks. It's gonna start, catching up to them. Um, and if they somehow get to the playoffs by the skin of their teeth, they somehow get to 10 wins. They're not doing nothing. Hate to break it to you, Steelers fans, but they're not. Simply, I mean, you probably agree with me based on watching the damn games.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess as long as they lean on the running game, they have a chance. I mean, they have two pretty good running backs in Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. I still think Najee Harris is garbage, but I mean, they have a good O line, I guess, solid, and they get yards on the ground. They can't throw the ball, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They got Pickens over there pissed off and upset. So, I mean, that is easily the worst 6-3 team I've ever seen. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I agree. They're pretenders. I really don't understand how they're 6-3. I think like you said, by the skin of their teeth and just luck, they're 6-3. You always need just a pinch of luck in the National Football League, and they've gotten over pinches of luck throughout these 9 games that they played in. They're really carried by their defense because if it wasn't for T.J. Watt and that defense, this team would probably only won 3 games so far. Probably flipped the record, 3-6 instead of 6-3. And having a good coach of Mike Tomlin, who has always finished above 500 in his NFL career, is always a plus. So at least you have a good coach and a good defense because all around that offense is bad. Like I expected so much from Kenny Pickett in his second season. I really thought he was going to take off and have a good season. It didn't happen whatsoever. They could say Matt Canada, but Matt Canada is bad coordinator, but he's also not the one throwing the ball on a weekly basis. And there's been no growth from Kenny Pickett all year long. And then, like you said, I think honestly, their offensive line is pretty solid. They've been restructuring it over the last year or so, but I think Najee Harris is a Eddie Lacy 2.0, just a little skinnier version. Like there's no like burst of energy when he carries the ball.
No.
That offense, it has no flavor. Like you said, that you can only do this for so long. That like some of the games they won, they shouldn't have won with their offense. And I think they're pretenders. If they get in the playoffs, they're definitely going to get the 7th seed. But whoever is the 2nd seed in the AFC is going to have a fun week to build some confidence and momentum to the divisional round because they're not going to last long in the playoffs. But
Yeah.
I think they are pretenders, but I think they're just riding the wave of their defense and Mike Tomlin right now.
Najee just got benched for Jaylen Warren. Did you see that?
Their last game against the Packers?
The other day, I saw something say that Jaylen Warren's RB1 this next game here against the Browns.
Yeah, that's probably the right choice. I mean, he had so much potential coming out of Alabama, but then like he just after his rookie year, he just like lost he lost his burst when like getting the ball and or taking off behind the offensive line. He's just so slow. That's why I think he's just a skinnier version of Eddie Lacy. Same speed, no burst of energy, just
I mean,
nothing.
Eddie Lacy at least like ran people over. He was a tank. I mean, I don't see nothing like that from Najee. I mean, he'd be stiff arming people
Yeah,
sometimes, but I mean, that's about it. Like, you know, his only
yeah.
number, his only numbers came from Big Ben in the last year of his career, dumping the ball off to him 20 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he was relevant in fantasy that one year.
Yeah, thinking about that, they got. I mean, I know they had Ben Roethlisberger for a long time, but they're gonna have to consider like a quarterback, drafting another quarterback very soon. I don't even think Kenny Pickett. Now I think about it, why was he even drafted in the first round in 2022? Because
Because
he's very
those
replaceable.
quarterbacks, those quarterbacks that year were trash. I mean, there was no good quarterbacks. Remember? There was
Yeah,
nothing.
I think that 2022 quarterback draft class was the worst. Like Desmond Ridder, he's already benched. Kenny Pickett, not the guy. Who else? Malik Willis, he's the third string for the Titans. Man, yeah, that draft class was terrible at the quarterback position. Uh, yeah, I think that's probably the worst one that we've had in our lifetime. Quarterback draft class wise.
Yeah, one of them.
Bengals, they're 5-4. Contenders or pretenders?
Mm, that's a tough one. I think they're contenders. I mean, I know that they had a rough start to the year. I mean, I feel like the last couple of years it's been the case. I mean, Joe Burrow had that had that injury. Jeez, I can't speak tonight. Um, that definitely hindered the entire offense. He couldn't drive off his leg and push the ball downfield. They were not nearly as explosive. Jamar Chase wasn't doing numbers because of it. I think they're starting to click. I mean, hey, I think they can start putting together a string of wins here coming up, especially with the Browns, with the recent injury news. The Steelers, like how we just talked about them being a fake ass 6-3 team. I think the Bengals can easily leapfrog both of those teams. I think I mean, they're not going to be higher than like the sixth seed, I don't think. But, I mean, they have to pretty much win all but like two games, maybe three. I mean, yeah, they got to win like at least five more games to get in. Um,
Yeah,
but I think they're a good enough team to do that. I mean, as long as it's kind of like the Chiefs, right? You know, as long as they got Joe Burrow, a quarterback, I mean, the sky's the limit. You know, that guy went to the Super Bowl with a scrap heap O line. Like that's impressive. Getting
hmm,
sacked like he did that year. I mean, if he can do that, you know, he can do it again. So I think they're contenders, just based on how good their offense has the potential to be. T. Higgins does need to get healthy. He's had some injury troubles this year. He needs to get clicking. Jamar Chase has been good recently. Joe Mixon is, I think his
he's
age is starting to catch up to him a little bit.
yeah.
Um, they might need a new plan there soon, but I think they're contenders.
Yeah, I agree. I think as long as Joe Burrow is there and Jamar Chase and company, they're always gonna be contenders. They at this point, I think we just have to wait until the halfway point to judge the Bengals because this is back to back years now. They started off slow. I mean, last year they started off 0-2 and really turned things around, and then this year they even started off even worse. I think they were 1-4 at one point. I mean, no, not 1-4, 1-3, 1-3 at one point. It really turned things around with the Joe Burrow injury. So I think they're in a good place from how they really started. And Joe Burrow, even in the loss last week, he still looked good, but it was Stroud and the Texans day that last week. But I will say this: the way how the things are playing out in the AFC and how jam-packed the conference is right now, I do believe that it's a must-win for them Thursday against the Ravens on the road. Because you
Yeah.
fall to 5-5, and you could be on a bubble of potentially getting doing everything you're supposed to, but you're losing to teams that have an advantage over you record-wise and would have the tiebreaker over you to secure a spot. So I think they got to keep those things in mind. I know they'll do their part, but it all comes down to who you beat and who has the better record when it comes to the AFC. And they got a lot of AFC opponents left to play. So I think Thursday night is a big game for them, must win on the road. But I think they'll be fine, and I think they're contenders still.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am gonna. I feel like we're gonna talk about the Texans and Stroud and CJ Stroud very soon, so I'm gonna take them off the list. So last team that we're gonna talk about are the Buffalo Bills, and I've been chomping at the bit to talk about them. They're 5-5. Do you think they're contenders or pretenders?
I think they're pretenders. You know, I didn't think I would be saying this at this point. I mean, they've always been a really good team. Um, you know, year in and year out for the last few years. But, you know, how much longer is their window going to be open, you know? I mean, Josh Allen, he's a very good quarterback, but he tries to play hero ball too much. I mean, he turns the ball over way too much. Tries to do tries to do just too many things that he shouldn't be doing. You know, he's playing like he's in college, like you know how college quarterbacks will just play hero ball and just chuck the ball up from across the field or something like that. Like it's just something that he needs to fix. And ever since Brian Dable left that team, it's been a big issue. I mean, it's affecting games. You know, they had it with all the things that happened against the Broncos this past week. They still had a shot to win, which is wild. I mean, Broncos are not a very good team, but I mean, they still pulled it out. I mean, mostly because the Bills were just stacking mistakes. I mean, it was really emphasized with the 12 men on the field for the last play of the game. I mean, I know that they jumped in the field goal formation like really fast. Like that was crazy how they did that. But um I mean, you just can't turn the ball over that much and expect to win games. I mean, I don't think their defense was what it was as in years past. I mean, I still think it's a good defense. But as long as Josh Allen continues to make mistakes, I can't see them making it far, if at all. I mean, they're 5-5. I mean, they're in the outside looking in at this point. I mean, they got to start winning games here. They pretty much got to win out. I mean, they could maybe lose like another game or two. That's it. I mean, I'm pretty sure their schedule's pretty tough too coming up,
Oh yeah.
from what I remember. I can't remember who exactly they're playing off the top of my head. Um, I can pull it up here in a second. But I mean, I don't think. Yeah, I think they're pretenders. You can
Yeah.
pull this up.
Um, I agree. I believe the Bills are pretenders at 5-5. I believe right now they're currently in principal's office trouble. Josh Allen, I don't know if the man was truly being protected this whole entire time or not, with Brian Dable being by his side as the former offensive coordinator and getting Stephon Diggs as your number one wide receiver. But the man is regressing before our eyes. And he's an absolute turnover machine. Like you said, he's trying to play hero ball like he's in college football still at Wyoming. And he's not. Right now, this year, he has a total of 14 turnovers this season, 11 interceptions, and 3 fumbles. And I think it's wild that their former offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, was fired after the loss to the Denver Broncos. Why was he fired when Josh Allen is the one throwing in triple coverage on a weekly basis, or throwing lousy interceptions, or being a turnover machine? I don't think it was fair for Ken Dorsey, their offensive coordinator, that it was really, in my opinion, doing everything right play calling wise. The only thing that was hurting them was the running game, with James Cook trying to take the next level in his young NFL career. So I think that Ken Dorsey not lasting longer than Matt Canada and an NFL season is wild to me. But yeah, I got their schedule right here, man. They're 5-5, and their schedule only gets tougher. They still got to play the Jets twice, play at Philadelphia, play at Kansas City. They got to play the Cowboys. They got to go on the road to play the Chargers. They got to play the Patriots again, a team they already lost to in the beginning of the season. Then they got to play at Miami. With this schedule, I really do believe that the Bills will miss the playoffs. I think they're going to miss the playoffs this year with a jam-packed AFC. So I got to call them pretenders. But Josh Allen, man, he leads the league in turnovers since coming into the league. I think this really has to be talked about way more than this is a huge problem for him right now.
I mean, that's always been a problem, right? I mean, his accuracy was always a concern coming out of college. I mean, he had an immense ceiling talent-wise, and he's still very talented. You know, he's obviously a great runner with the ball. He can throw the ball at 100 miles an hour, has a cannon. Um, but his decision making needs to be better. He needs to be smarter, and he just needs to just get it together. He needs to stop playing hero ball. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I really think it though. If they miss the playoffs, that whole organization is gonna fall off a cliff, like big time. I think Sean McDermott's gonna get fired. They're just gonna start pointing fingers left and right. I think Stephon Diggs is definitely gonna request a trade this offseason if they miss the playoffs. I think everything's just gonna crumble from that point on. I mean, Josh Allen will still be there because of his monster contract that he signed a few years ago, but everybody else around him is just going to start going one by one. The whole thing is just going to fall apart if they miss the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the team that everybody's been waiting for them to get to the next step in the AFC, especially in the playoffs, because after that AFC championship appearance, they've been derailed in the divisional round for the last 2 seasons with the Chiefs and then the Bengals doing a whooping on them, giving them a whooping at Buffalo last year in the playoffs. So, yeah, I really see this thing falling apart if they don't get it together soon. But we're going to move on to the next segment. We're going to be sharing our predictions for which players we do believe will be win the NFL Rookie of the Year awards, or the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, and the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. So we'll start off with offense. Rob, I think I know your answer to this one. Who is your Offensive Rookie of the Year, or who are you predicting to win this award?
That's an easy answer, Tom. It's Mr. Stroud, Mr. CJ. I mean, he's just been balling. He looks elite already. I mean, wow. Like a team that we thought would not do a damn thing this year, the Houston Texans. We thought they were still rebuilding. They think not. I mean, he is absolutely lights out. I mean, he has 2,600 yards, 8.3 yards average per throw, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Two. I mean, for a rookie, that's insane. I mean, his quarterback rating is 101, and his QBR is 63.3. I mean, that is insane. He has been balling out. He's making guys like Noah Brown look good. You
Hmm.
know, Tank Dell has been his favorite target. He's been balling too himself, being a third-round pick. That was probably one of the best picks in the draft now that we look back at it. Um, I think I saw something that Tank Dell wanted Stroud to draft him. They were
Yeah, he did.
they
Yeah,
were good friends at the combine. They really liked being a duo there, and they were just like, man, let's do this for real. Like, and they've been balling. Like, he's also got 2 touchdowns on the ground, 22 carries, 86 yards. Yeah, he's the real deal. I mean, there's no one even close right now. Devon A-Chain might have been in the conversation had he stayed healthy,
yeah,
but yeah, there's no one that even comes close. There's no one. I mean, this guy already looks like a top 10 quarterback right now. I mean, that's crazy to say, but I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. He's probably got the best ratio in the league as a rookie.
yeah,
He's making the Texans a playoff threat basically overnight. I mean, he's been a revelation. It's crazy. I mean, I don't really need to say too much else besides what he's been doing. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. This man, I agree with you on C.J. Stroud winning Rookie of the Year. It's a runaway show at this point. He's going to obviously be the odds-on favorite to win this award all the way up until the end of the season. Have it if he stays healthy, which we all hope he does. He's definitely showing that it was a mistake for the Carolina Panthers to pass up on him. It was a layup to me. That was a layup pick. I know you said it, and I've said it also that
Mm-hmm.
if I were the Panthers, and I would have selected C.J. Stroud because I still believe that even though Bryce Young had a lot of success with Alabama, I still think that C.J. Stroud was always the better quarterback between the two. So
Yeah.
deep down, I know that what the Panthers gave up to get him or get Bryce Young, it should have been for C.J. Stroud because they gave up a lot to get Bryce Young, and unfortunately, he's not playing the way we all thought. I mean, really has nothing. He has Adam Thielen as his best target in his rookie year, but Stroud definitely the best quarterback in this draft class, and he's showing it. Like you said, the stats are there. I don't even got to say the stats. Like the stats, it's top 10. You got to say he's top. And in terms of this season, he's definitely in. I would honestly say he's a top 5 quarterback this season. That's how based on the season, not like overall. It's going to take time for him to say that he's a top
Yeah.
5 quarterback, but for the season for sure, he's definitely playing at a top 5 level amongst all 32 starting quarterbacks in the league. But man, if they really weren't 5-4, I know we talked about that a few days ago. If they really weren't 5-4, and their record was 6-3 or 7-3, 7-2, he would really be the league MVP, like the odds-on favorite right now to win the award with everything he's doing. And I think it's good because, like you touched upon, he doesn't have those weapons like other top teams in the AFC have, like a Tua with Tyreek or Jalen Waddle, or Mahomes with Travis Kelce, or Lamar with Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham and company, and Mark Andrews. But this man is doing it with literally Nico Collins, Tank Dell, a rookie, Noah Brown, who never really separated himself amongst the wide receiver room as long as he was a Cowboy. this is incredible what he's doing. Can you imagine if he had a true number one, not a true, I mean a true number one, yes, but like a guy like DeAndre Hopkins that would come back, or a Devontae Adams or somebody at the caliber level at the wide receiver. The stats would even be better. So
Yeah,
in terms of what he's doing with these weapons, and compared to what all the other top quarterbacks have around the league, this is really special. Panthers fans out there, you drafted the wrong guy. I hate to say it, y'all drafted the wrong guy, and it's gonna show. I mean, I hope Bryce Young can develop, but over time, this is gonna be a pick that the Texans are gonna love for sake of the future. But
yeah.
uh, everybody else for the rookie race, I thought Puka Nacua was gonna be the lock, but his stats really slowed down once Cooper Kupp really came back, and then of course Matthew Stafford unfortunately got hurt again. But
Yeah.
yeah, this a runaway show with Rookie of the Year for sure. What about Defensive Rookie of the Year? Who you got for that?
That's a little bit more up in the air. I mean, I feel like I would go with Devin Witherspoon. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
think I think that he's been the most impactful. I mean, Jalen Carter is the favorite right now. Um, he's playing like half the snaps. He's playing like 50% of the snaps.
Mm-hmm.
And like his numbers don't really jump off the page, but his pressure rate is up there with the best of the best. But like, that's I think that Devon Witherspoon, just based on what he's been doing and how he's impacted the game, how he's kind of really elevated that defense. I think that he should win it. We saw that pick six against us. I've seen some of the hits he's been laying on people this year. Good God. I mean, he's got a couple of sacks. He's got a forced fumble, 12 passes defended, 44 tackles. Um, he's just been a very good football player. I mean, they're building a good defense over there in Seattle. They really are, and I think that he should win it if it was my decision.
Yeah. I'm at a hard place between Jalen Carter and Devin Witherspoon. I love Devin Witherspoon so much. I love them coming into the NFL draft. I think they got their guy in terms of being their next special cornerback after Richard Sherman. I know Tyreek Wool is there, but Devin Witherspoon, man, he's the real deal. I like hard hitting DBs. I like DBs that are attack all over the ball. Like you saw that pick six at MetLife in person. Unfortunately for your sake, well, yeah, I like him a lot. But I think I go with Jalen Carter. I think Jalen Carter's impact, like you said, he's had a strong impact on that Eagles front seven so far. I still think about it should be illegal what Howie Roseman got away with selecting him ninth overall in that draft, because out of all the talented players, if that man never got in trouble off the field after Georgia won the national title, that man would have truly went first overall in that NFL draft for sure. But he's already having an impact on that front seven. I think he's going to be an impact player for the Eagles for a very long time. Uh, for a defensive tackle, his stats really don't jump at you, but in terms of being an impactful player at the defensive tackle position this year, I think he's had the impression of an Aaron Donald to be an impactful player. I mean, the stats don't jump all over the place. He's got 4 sacks, but having 29 pressures at defensive tackle, 2 forced fumbles, and 16 total tackles, I think that's pretty impressive for your rookie year. With so much elite talent already on their pass rush, I think he's doing a pretty good job. I'd probably go with Jalen Carter to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. But Devin Witherspoon, I think he's got a shot for real, though. I do think he's got a shot to win this award. But, yeah, I think it's going to come down to those two players. I mean, Will Anderson is in the mix, but he's not. He's doing good so far, but he's not making an impact like those two players are right now.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
All right. So, there we go. All right, so we're going to move on to the next segment. We're going to be talking about sports betting, but we're going to take the time to talk about our sponsorship with Sharps. Sharps is a sports betting network used for all sports bettors around the world. Sharps allows you to link your sports books, including DraftKings, FanDuel, and BetMGM. Sharps allows you to see what your friends are playing and their bets that they're making. Sharps also offers free transparency. Download Sharps today on the Apple Store, and it's now available on the Android store as well. So for all of you guys watching, listening, there's no excuse. If you're a sports bettor, there's no excuse at this particular point. Apple or Android, I still stand by you shouldn't be an Android user, but there's no excuse. You can download it on the Apple Store or the Android store now. Use promo code TOM, as in THOM 661, to play Sharps today and go ahead and get started today. But with that being said, we are going to share our best sports bets of the week. What do you have cooked up in the world of sports betting, Rob, for this week?
So I have a parlay of 4 football games put together, and I also had another parlay that I tailed that I'm just going to share one of the legs because we don't really talk hockey on here like that. And honestly, I don't really know hockey too well, but I just know certain teams are hot. But I'll just go with the one leg first. I'm going to go the Celtics spread. It's -3.5 right now, playing the Sixers. Lost a tough one last time, but they've been on one recently. They've been probably the best team in the league, one of them. Um, I'm just the Sixers themselves have been very good, since they got rid of James Harden. I feel like he was kind of a cancer in the locker room. But I mean, I just like that. I like the odds. I think it's a good bet. And I think they bounce back this time. But more importantly, my football parlay. Um, so I had this one might upset a lot of you here in Baltimore, but my first leg is the Bengals money line.
I knew it.
You
I
want to know
knew it.
why? Because they have to win, and they will, because they have to. But I mean, no bullshit though. It's a must-win game, like we were saying. I think they come in there with some fire. I don't think, after the Ravens collapse against the Browns, I feel like they might start going a little mini losing streak. I don't know who they play next after the Bengals, but um, yeah, I mean, I think the funk kind of carries over from that loss, combined with, the circumstances with the Bengals. I think that they have to win this game, especially on primetime Thursday night football. I think they're going to do it. It was a tough one to pick, but I think they're going to do it, and it's good odds too to pick their money line right now. It's like plus 140
Hmm.
or something like that. Um, who's my other ones? Oh, I picked. Honestly, you can go with the regular spread too, probably on this, but I was just uneasy since it's the Commanders against the Giants. Somehow they always seem to lose against us, regardless of what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't think Tommy DeVito is going to win another football game. He hasn't, but I don't think he will ever as a starter. I mean, good God. I mean, I think the tank is on for the Giants. I hate to say it, and it really bothers me to say it, but I did the spread right now is -9 from what I remember. I went with an alternate spread of -6.5 just because it is a divisional game, and the Commanders always seem to make it interesting no matter what, whether they're losing or winning.
Yeah.
So, but I still think, we're not going to be able to move the ball like that. I mean, unless we just run the ball every time, we're not going to really be able to do much. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. I mean, I think the Commanders can win by a touchdown. I mean, that's not crazy to say against Tommy DeVito. Um, So I did -6.5 for them. I picked the Texans to beat the Cardinals at -5. That spread made me a little. I mean, I know they got Kyler Murray back, and that's probably why the spread isn't larger. But I mean, Stroud has just been on one recently, like we just talked about. And the Cardinals still are the Cardinals. I mean, yes, they got Kyler Murray back, but they're still not a very great team. I mean,
Yeah.
they have 2 wins. I mean, and like, Josh Dobbs, it's not like he was a bad quarterback. Like, he's been kind of a revelation of a backup for the Vikings recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see the Texans winning by a touchdown, so I just took the spread right right then and there. I didn't mess with it. I just took the spread that was there at -5, and then I took the Chargers money line against the Packers. That should be a game that they win. The Packers are not a great team.
Hmm.
Jordan Love is not good. Um, you know, Aaron Jones has not been the same Aaron Jones we're used to seeing. The Chargers just went down to the wire with the Lions, who is another great team, but you know they should definitely beat the Packers. You could even take the spread on this one and feel comfortable. I think it's at -3 right now on DraftKings, so I think they could easily win by 4 or more. I mean, that's definitely they should. I mean, if they don't, that's a problem. So um, I parlayed all those 4 picks together, and the odds are pretty damn good. They were like plus like 1150 or something like that, 1100 or 1150. $10 to win, $110, $120. Not too bad. I mean, I think those are some pretty good value picks, especially the Bengals one. I think as tough as a game that is to bet, I think they have to win that game.
Hmm. Yeah, I got two NBA bets right now for tonight, and then the rest for football for this weekend. So the NBA bets I have, this one was a play it safe one. Uh, I got the Dallas Mavericks money line over the Wizards. They're currently up 71-51. Well, it's not even halftime yet, so they better finish that. Next money line, I got the Bulls over the Orlando Magic. I got the Suns over the Timberwolves since they got Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant all playing together for the first time. And then I got the Cavaliers money line over the Trailblazers. This one was just the easy one. I always got to have a layup on. The odds on that are plus 394. So, yeah, that shows you that was just a baby one. But this is the one that I'm really expecting that I really hope it hits. This is the Hail Mary one. So this is a 9-leg parlay. The odds on this are plus 3,243. So
Damn.
I,
Okay.
I need some luck.
Here it.
But I got Evan Mobley to have at least 15 points tonight against the Trailblazers. I mean, DeAndre Ayton, whenever he has to play a solid big man, always folds. So I hope that hits. DeAndre Ayton under 11 rebounds. Like I just said, he doesn't really play good when he has to play a good big man. I need Donovan Mitchell to have over 30, at least 30 points. And then I have Kevin Durant to score 20 points tonight. The Devin Booker to score 20 points. Anthony Edwards to score 25 or more. I need Kevin Durant to have 2 3-pointers. Rudy Gobert, after he got put in a chokehold by Draymond Green last night, I need him to be physical and have at least 10 rebounds. And I need Anthony Edwards to make 2 threes. So I put down $5. $5 on this wins me $167. So this is my Hail Mary of the day. Hopefully I think that has a shot, though. If everybody does what they're supposed to, I think that has a shot at hitting.
Yeah.
But
That's not a crazy bet to hit. I mean, I mean, I like that bet, honestly.
yeah, hopefully everybody comes through. But then the football ones I have for this weekend, I'm going back to betting on the Cowboys. I said on last week on the podcast that they would cover the 17-point spread. Fred and our guy Manny thought I was crazy for that, but they covered it. They thought it was going to be a trap bet, but they covered it pretty well. They love because the Cowboys love beating up bad teams, so I got them covering the 10-point spread against the Carolina Panthers this weekend. Like I said, they covered the 17-point spread against the New York Giants by a mile last week. Tommy DeVotto. I'm happy that he played the way he did, and I hit on that bet. But the Panthers are 1-9, and we just talked about Bryce Young struggling in his rookie season. He's going to get a real welcome to the NFL moment when he has to play against that Cowboys pass rush. It's going to be a long day for them. I think the Cowboys are easily going to cover the 10-point spread. I think that's a layup this weekend. I'm surprised they didn't make that more, but I'm not complaining. I would take that bet. I actually had the same bet for you for the Texans and Cardinals one. C.J. Stroud for the Texans to cover against the Cardinals. C.J. Stroud, like we've just been talking about, he's been high. There's a forest fire on all cylinders this season. They're at home for the Texans are in Houston for this weekend against a Cardinals team that only has 2 wins, like we just touched upon. The Texans are actually 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 games. It really should be 6. It really should be 6-1, but we all know for them covering the spread against the Buccaneers, it was destroyed because they took a knee on a 2-point conversion, which did not help me a few weeks ago. But the Cardinals' defense has been lit up like a Christmas tree all year long by opposing quarterbacks. So I think that Stroud and the Texans will, C.J. Stroud will do the same thing to their defense for them to comfortably cover the spread this weekend against the Cardinals. But yeah, those are my bets. I will say one thing though, and this is why I talked the way I did about the Bills. Did you know on Monday night? This is all I needed, literally all I needed, and I was screwed so many times throughout the game because the Bills beat themselves. All I needed Josh Allen to have two passing touchdowns. This is on one of them. You know, right before the Broncos went on and had a game-winning field goal, he had a rushing touchdown instead of a passing touchdown when somebody was wide open in the end zone, but it said he ran for a touchdown. That screwed me up. And then how the Broncos were literally, I think their stat line was like 1-8, 1-9, or 1-8 against the spread all year long. And they didn't cover they never covered the spread on the road all year long. And then Monday night they just blew it up against the Bills. And yeah, I for anybody out there, I'm done betting on the Bills. They gave me a bad taste in my mouth. That I was fed up on Monday night.
I bet on them at halftime because I thought, oh my God, they're losing to the Broncos. There's no way. So I thought that was going to be a layup pick, and the Joker let me down last night.
I saw that you sent that in the group chat.
He had 9 assists. He had like 30 points, probably like 14 boards or more. I don't know if he had more. I can't remember. He had 9 assists, and all my other legs hit. And the Nuggets won too. And, 1 assist. I've been on a little schneid recently on betting. I'm not gonna lie. For those out there that look at my sharps page, I don't know if they're all registering on there because I feel
Yeah,
like
I gotta talk to Josh about that because I won a couple bets in my record, and I was on a cold streak for a long time, but now I've been hitting, and I'm still staying at 2-8, and I'm like my record wise ain't working correctly. So I definitely am gonna reach out to him about that. You actually remind me to do that because I'm sitting there like, why is my record that when I was just reading the parlays? But yeah, that's why another reason why Sharps is also great because you can see who's hitting on bets and who's actually not hitting on bets for win-loss record and win-loss ratio, winning percentages, things like that. So that's why also Sharps is a good bet for all sports bettors. But we're gonna move on to the final segment. This is a good one. Would LeBron James be the same player if he never played for the Miami Heat? What's your take on that, Rob?
yes, he would. I think it's pretty simple in my opinion. I mean, he's the GOAT for a reason. I think that he's always, no matter what he would have been, maybe might not have won as he might have won maybe one less championship, maybe two. Um, you know, he elevated any team he's ever been on. I mean, he won a chip with the Cavs against the Warriors when he had nobody. I mean, who's to say he couldn't have did that before? You know, he just had help those times, so it was like a runaway show. Besides, you know, if it wasn't for the Spurs, I mean, who was getting in their way? You know, I just, I don't know. I mean, it's I just simply think that he would be the same player, and because I truly think he's one of the all time greatest talents to ever grace the hardwood floor. Um, it's just that simple for me. Um, People can call me crazy. I know he had help on the Heat. There's no doubt in that he did. But look, like I said, look at the times where he didn't have help. Look what he did. He still won games. He still won when it mattered. So that's my stance on it. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I think there's two ways to put this. I think the way you were saying it, I think LeBron would still have I think he would still have the accolades and of course be a dominant player as he was if he never went to Miami Heat. And he has elevated every team that he's been a part of. I think the individual accolades of becoming the all-time scorer in NBA history, that he still would have done that regardless of playing for the Heat or not. And the MVPs and those things would still be there. But I think when it comes to being the player that he is today, I think without him playing for the Miami Heat, I don't think he is the same player because the Miami Heat, he had, at that particular point in the NBA and his career, he had no choice but to do the move that he did. And I still to this day don't think it was a snake move because it benefited everybody. It benefited Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh because they all had one thing in common. They couldn't get over the hump of the juggernaut team that the Boston Celtics became with Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo, Doc Rivers. They were a dynasty just waiting to happen in Boston. They already won the title together. They were Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James' roadblocks the ever competing for a championship ever again in the Eastern Conference. So I think those days with the Miami Heat really defined him as the player he is, and to help him in the GOAT conversation, winning two MVPs, two final MVPs, and two rings. I think if he never goes to the Miami Heat, like you said, he has less rings. I think he finishes his career with just two. I just don't think without the Miami Heat days to become a dominant player, I don't think he's in the GOAT conversation. Or like you said, I do believe he's the GOAT, but I don't think he's in that conversation without those Miami Heat days and learning from all those veteran players that really taught him how to be the player that he is today.
Mhm.
It's just I think what that point is, I think he could have won more rings, but the way how the league was, like if there was no Miami Heat, the Celtics would have never even broke up to begin with, or Ray Allen would have never turned his back on the Celtics to come to Miami Heat in those 5 years of the Big Three era. And it's just that's actually one of those biggest what ifs that LeBron never went to Miami. If definitely if he stayed with the Cavaliers, he was done for. I honestly do. The second time, yeah, that was historic what he did for those respective teams, and really towards the end of the time, without having a real true star like that last time he went to the finals in 2018 with the Cavs, that team was horrible when they got swept. Like, but yeah, I think it just comes down to timing. Like if he stayed with the Cavs and never left, and if they actually that he would have never. I don't think he ever would. Honestly, though, thinking about it, if he stayed with the Cavs, he probably would have only won one championship. That's hard to think about, but like there wouldn't be no. The reason why they got Kyrie Irving is because they had the lottery pick because they were so bad the year that LeBron left and Kevin Love situation. That's when you think about that. Actually, really is hard to think about. Like that's big as what ifs if he never went. But I
Yeah.
just don't think that he would be that guy that we believe he is the GOAT and the greatest basketball player of all time. The accolades would say so, but nowadays you gotta have some type of championship success. And I think we were talking about this last week on the podcast. If LeBron was playing the level of competition that Jordan was playing, I do believe that he would have at least 5 to 6 rings instead of 4. But the
Yeah.
talent that LeBron has always played against in the finals has been like top notch. Hall of Famers all around in every matchup that he's ever played in. minus that Heat game, that Heat matchup in 2020. But
Yeah.
yeah, those, and I think about it now, we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to talk about that. We already talked about best teams in NBA history, but we're gonna have to talk about like best time frames in NBA history because that 2010 era was special. Like that was a special era of basketball for sure. A lot of moments made during that time frame.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, that signature Spurs versus Heat
Yeah,
playoff matchups, I'll never forget those. I'll never forget seeing that Ray Allen shot. I just perfectly picture it in my head exactly where I was at the time. Like, it's just crazy.
I
Like,
was watching it in my living room. I thought it was over. I said, "Dang,
mm.
they're not gonna get another championship this year." And then all I saw was missed by LeBron, rebound Bosh, kick the Ray Allen, man. That 3-point shot, there was fans walking out the arena thinking it was all said and done, and they came back. Well, they tried to come back, and the security said once you left, you can't enter back in. But man, it's things like that that make you like really love sports and
Mhm.
think about all the moments that you gotten to watch sports. But yeah, definitely. I think one day we should actually talk about. Now that I think about it, we should talk about what would Michael Jordan be if he never had Scottie Pippen by his side, or what would happen if Kobe never had Shaq by his side. Those things I think we gotta talk about one day on the podcast for sure.
Mhm.
But we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up for the night. That is all the time we have for you guys this week. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, and my co-host, Rob Saracino, signing off. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.
Yes, sir.
All right, Rob.
Catch you.